Hello and welcome to part 2 of our project. Let's take a quick recap in what we had done in our previous lecture. We wrote a function called readStudentDetails that takes the name and marks of students, creates a dictionary out of it with the name of the student as the dictionary key and their marks as the dictionary value. And then we wrote another function called rankStudents that converts our dictionary into a list of tuples so that they could be sorted in order to rank the top 3 students. In this lecture, what we will be doing is writing the remaining 2 functions, which is to reward students and to appreciate students who have secured marks of 950 and above. Let's start with our first function, which is to reward students. So what does that say? Give cash rewards. $500 for first rank, $300 for second rank, $100 for third rank. Value cannot be modified. So when the value cannot be modified, it needs to be a tuple. So let's go ahead and create a tuple that stores the value of our rewards. Let me name the tuple as reward and assign it with the values 500, 300 and 100. Now what we will do is to call the reward students function. Now when we call the reward students function, we need the sorted student record since we need the top 3 students. So let's pass the sorted student record. Now sorted student record is part of our rank students function, which cannot be accessed outside this function. So let's first return the sorted student record. And when you return it from the function, you need to have a variable that holds the returned value. So sorted student record holds the value. And along with sorted student record, what you also need to pass is the tuple reward so that the top 3 students can be rewarded. And in your function definition, accept those 2 parameters as well, sorted student record and reward. So let's go ahead and write our print statements. So in our print statement, student has secured, or rather has received, a cash reward of 500. Let me have a placeholder for it. In format, let me enter the student name. So my student name for the first rank, license student record with the index position 0 and 0. And then I also need to have my reward for the student who has scored first rank, which is at index position 0. The reward for the student who has secured the second rank is at index position 1, and for the third rank is at index position 2. So let's go ahead and write for all the 3 ranks. So rank 2 received a cash reward of $. So for my second student, the record will be at index position 1 and the name is at 0, and reward will have the index value of 1. And for my third student, it will be record at index position 2. Alright, so now we have our reward students function, which rewards the top 3 students of the class with cash reward of $500, $300 and $100. So let's now write our final function, which is to appreciate students. Let's see what that says. Appreciate students who secured 950 marks and above. So in order to do that, let's go ahead and call our appreciate student function. And for this, you pass the sorted student record, and in your function definition, you receive it. Now what you need to do is to run a loop across your sorted student record and check if the value or the marks scored by a student is greater than or equal to 950. So if it is greater than or equal to 950, send a message of appreciation to your student. So let's do that. So let me run a loop for record in sorted student record. And then if, so how do I get the marks of a student? It is stored at index position 1. Now since this is a for loop which is running through the records, each iteration will have a single record. So in my first iteration, I will have the record mark and the marks as 980. So to obtain the marks, I use the index value 1. So if the value of the student or the marks of the student is greater than or equal to 950, then what you do is send a message of appreciation to your student. So let's print congratulations on scoring 980 marks. That's a placeholder for it, and let's call the student by his name. So on string formatting, let's enter the name of the student. It would be, so the name of the student is in your record at the index position 0, and then first what you need to do is to enter the marks scored by the student, which is at index position 1. And then what you need to do next is to enter the name of the student, which is at index position 0. So this should do that for us. So now since this is in a sorted order, if my if condition fails, which means if my value is not greater than or equal to 950, that means for every record from then on, my value will be lesser than 950. So if this condition fail, all we have to do is just break this for loop from further execution. So that's all we need. Let's go ahead and check our output. But before we do that, let's just add some new line characters so that our output looks much better. So what I'll do is at the beginning and the end of each function, I'll be adding a blank line. So I've added one there. At the end of this, it should actually be before the return statement, since the statement after return does not get executed. So I print a new line here and just before the return statement, one more here and another one at the end of it, and finally I have one placed here and another one placed right here. Alright, so let's save our file, open the terminal and execute our program. So it is Python 3 space the path to your file, which is in desktop / your file name, which is rankstudents.py. So the number of students are 4. The name of the student, John, with 600 marks, and the next student is Ben, having scored 800 marks, and then we have David, who scored 950 marks, and finally we have Mark, who scored 980 marks. So there is the output of our program. Mark has secured first rank scoring 980 marks, and David second rank with 950, Ben third rank with 800, and then Mark has received a cash reward of $500 since he secured first rank. David received a cash reward of $300 since he secured the second rank, and finally Ben received $100 since he secured the third rank. Since Mark and David had scored greater than or equal to 950 marks, they have both received a statement of appreciation. Another thing that you can do to your program is to add some exception handling. So now what if you did not enter 3 students? What if the number of students entered were 0? Then all these index would result in an index out of range error. So let's go ahead and write a try and except statement to catch them. So I say try, and all of these statements go into my try block, and then in my except I catch it. So that would be an index error, which will be the exception raised, and in that index error I print a statement that says enter a minimum of 3 students. And then we have a function called quit in Python that quits our Python program. So now let's save this and execute it to see what the output is. Let's open the terminal. Let's just clear the screen. And on execution, I enter the number of students as 0, and as you can see, it caught the exception, and we have our output enter a minimum of 3 students, and we have exited from the Python program. And with that, we come to an end of this project. In this project, we implemented everything that we learned in this course. You implemented strings, list, tuples. You wrote some really good functions. You wrote looping statements, conditional statements. You performed some pretty good exception handling. And if you have been able to do all of that, your basic understanding in Python is strong enough. In the next lecture, I will be briefly talking to you about how you can advance your skills from here on to the next level. I'll see you there. Thank you.